Welcome to the Texas Values Report. This is Jonathan Saenz, president of Texas Values. Great to be with you on another glorious week in the state of Texas. Well, the countdown has begun. We are 10 days away from the Texas Faith, Family, and Freedom Forum annual event that we have here at Texas Values, our 7th year in a row. We're calling it Texas Faith Fest for short. It fits better in a hashtag, so be on the lookout for that. As a matter of fact, if you still want to get tickets, go to texasfaithfest.com and you can see more of that. Also, turning the page a little bit, I hear we're now in fall. I don't know how that works. You know, we're in the state of Texas. It was still quite warm. As I was looking around, the scenery of my backyard and new deck, as you might have seen if you're friends with me on social media, had a wonderful journey over the weekend moving. No, seriously, blessed to be in a new home and just continue to be more settled in the Central Texas area. And, but look, as we turn the page, we get into fall, we talk about what's coming up in September throughout this month, with a lot of momentum and a lot of interest about what's happening in November. But here at our work, where we focus on the issues of faith, family, and freedom, in the arenas of the courts, the legislature, and the media, there's a lot of focus on what's going to happen next legislative session. And look, I've got a new voter in my house. Well, he's technically off at school at San Antonio, but my oldest son will be voting for the first time. And so as we get closer to legislative session, though, we'll be talking a lot about the importance of this election, why we need to have people out there voting, and we need Christians to be informed on the issues. And someone who's doing a lot of work in that arena is going to be our guest today on the Texas Values Report. She's also going to be speaking at our policy event in less than 2 weeks. We're excited to welcome for the first time Morgonn McMichael. She is a Turning Point USA contributor. She's a social media content creator. She's also an actress. She has some films to her credit and does a lot of great work speaking to TPUSA chapters and college campuses around the country. I know she's sort of out on site today, but she actually has some history in Texas. Grew up the latter part of her years before college in Texas, attended Texas Tech University, and now is doing great things as a fellow Texan. Morgonn, welcome to the Texas Values Report.
Thank you so much for having me on. What an intro.
Right? Well, I try to tee people up right, and get you started on the right foot. But look, who am I to say about your work? You've quite the following and popularity out there for at such a young age, if I may say so. So you're obviously hard at work and have figured a couple of things out. I enjoy getting to see a lot of the things that you post because it helps me, I guess, kind of connect with, that younger generation, the Gen Z. We're going to feature this when you speak coming up. But tell us about how you got involved in this work, and then we'll talk a little bit about what you're doing now and some things that we'll focus on at our event.
Absolutely. I'm 25 years old now, which is crazy. I just turned 25.
Happy birthday, by the way. I saw that.
Yep. And, I got involved in politics after living in California when I was younger and realized that cancel culture was controlling my life and I was silencing my views and my values being a Christian conservative woman raised in a family that prioritized faith and freedom. So it fits so perfectly. And we ended up moving to Texas or back to Texas because of what we were facing when it came to family backlash in California, or California, like I like to call it. And so later in college, I was also facing cancel culture in a sorority. I almost got kicked out of my sorority for standing up for conservative values during the pandemic in 2020. And I realized, if I'm not going to speak out, nobody's going to speak out for me. And that's when I made the decision to go to a Turning Point USA event in 2021. So I really thank Turning Point USA and Charlie Kirk for actually getting me involved in politics and getting involved in culture within my generation, because I realized when I turned around and I looked for other female friends who could uplift me and support me for my views and values, it was really hard to find because everyone feared cancel culture. So I kind of took the bullet in a sense and just put myself out there and realized that my voice was so much more worth it to use it to uplift my generation and speak for the truth, speak for family, speak for faith, and talk about conservative values instead of just being a normal American who goes to college, graduates with a college degree. And I ended up actually dropping out of Texas Tech University. I was studying to be a mechanical engineer, still love science, still love math, but I realized that it was way more valuable to fight for our country because I realized how much our our Constitution, our freedoms are at stake. And so took me about a couple of years of silencing and cancel culture to get involved. And now I can truly say that I'm living the dream. I'm now based in Washington, D.C. this election cycle, and it is my mission to inspire and prepare the next generation of free thinking leaders. And I really think that that is where Gen Z needs help right now is, you said watch my content. I love that because my content isn't just made for Gen Z. It's not just made to go viral. I make content because I want other Americans to see what Gen Z is actually thinking and prioritizing and give the voices to not just the left or the right echo chambers, but try and bridge those gaps.
No, you're absolutely right. We're talking with Morgonn McMichael. She is a Turning Point USA contributor. As a matter of fact, I guess he's your boss. I don't know what you would consider Charlie Kirk, your mentor, your leader of TPUSA for the first time in July out in Wisconsin. He was speaking to a group of high school students as a part of a youth event, and I had a mutual friend there, and she invited me to come out. I was in town sort of for the RNC. It was about 45 minutes away from Milwaukee or so, and I loved getting to see him in person. I had not met him before, seen a lot of his work, but also seeing the way he connects with young people. And, as I mentioned, I have a new voter in my home. My son's 18. He's just starting college and, trying to be aware. I've got a 14-year-old daughter, looking for those opportunities for them to have people to look towards that share their values, that can support them and that they can unite with, because, it can be tough out there. And and getting involved in the world that you're in, right, there's so many, it's just wide open, right? Who are people going to pay attention to? Who are they going to listen to? Sort of being able, as you mentioned, to break through to that next level so people will see a different voice or a new voice, someone from your perspective. As a matter of fact, I'm going to share on my Facebook page right now. I encourage other people to do this, our feed, so we can have more people watching this, get involved in the conversation, drop a comment if you'd like to. Morgonn, tell us about the tour. You're going, and then I want to circle back to our event. Morgonn's going to be speaking at our event, the Texas Faith Fest, September 13th and 14th. She's coming back to Texas. I think she's going to have a couple of fans there too when she shows up. But we're going to have a great panel on Gen Z. But talk to us a little bit about this tour, maybe some of the places you're going and what people can expect.
Absolutely. So we are hitting the campuses. We are on the road again starting this week. I'm actually headed to Madison, Wisconsin tomorrow for the first stop on the You Are Being Brainwashed tour. So we changed up the name this year. And Charlie Kirk has been going to be doing a lot of Prove Me Wrong tables. I will be on the campuses filming a lot of our Man on the Street content on these college and high school campuses. And I will also be speaking on high school and college campuses as well this semester. Really, this semester is a turning point, no pun intended. We are so close out from the election, and this is really when we can connect with those students, connect with the next generation. You said you have a new voter in your household, so do many other households, and we really need to arm them to be able to get out and vote this November. So that is definitely the message, and changing our culture on these campuses and saying, hey, cancel culture is over. Conservatives do have a voice. We do belong on these campuses, and we're not going to be silenced, and we're going to continue to unapologetically tell the truth and speak the truth and have truthful conversation. So I'm really looking forward to this tour. I know we also have Penn State coming up in a week, and then we also have UNT Denton. So we're going to be right in.
Oh, tell them I said hello when you're there, by the way. I don't know if anybody's informed you. They're like the liberal Austin of North Texas. They weren't too friendly. We had a bill signing there. Governor Abbott signed the bill to protect women in college sports, the Save Women's Sports Bill, as we call it. Many people call it. And he was so excited about the legislation that we went to Denton. We actually were at the Texas Women's University, not UNT, but close by. And they were so happy that we were there. I was not real familiar with that community. Having lived in Texas all my life, you thought I would have known more, but it got a little ugly. So, and I'm sure you won't be afraid of that, but I'm sure there'll be some people there to welcome you as you stop there.
We will definitely have some of our biggest fans, as I like to say, the protesters. So for all of you guys, if you're in the Dallas area, be sure to stop by UNT Denton. We're going to be there in North Texas, I believe on the 11th. So I'll have to fact check me on that. But I think it's the 11th of this month, right before the Texas Faith Fest.
Then you're just going to scoot right down 35 to come to our event. Well, listen, I saw one of the videos you posted recently. What are you hearing from Christians when you ask the question? I believe this is how you're phrasing it, quite simply, why Christians should vote. What are some of the things that you're hearing in response?
I mean, the biggest thing I think is look at how prayer has been removed from schools, how the indoctrination has been plaguing public education. And I think that is the biggest thing that is affecting Christian voters right now. Talk about church and state as well. But I went out when I asked that question, why should Christians vote? I was actually at one of our events called Strong Church with TPUSA Faith. And it was really interesting to see the perspective of evangelical Christians that are armed and ready to vote. There's a huge amount of Christians in our country that either are registered to vote and they don't vote, or they're not even registered to vote at all. And I think that's really one of the voting blocks that us conservatives need to speak to. There really isn't a lot of nonprofit organizations. I know you guys talk about the church, but we really need to get back in the church, because I believe that evangelical Christians can really be the needle changer when it comes to this election. And I mean, it's vital. There is no discussion, there is no debate that evangelical Christians need to vote, because we are voting for our values to be represented within our government. And we need to stop allowing the left to control the government with how they have been. And we see indoctrination in our schools. We see LGBTQ propaganda within our schools. And this is affecting not just adults, but it's affecting the next generation. And I think that's the number one reason why Christians should vote realistically, is we need to save the innocence of our children.
Well, no, look, and look, there are probably even more reasons that concern us, that when we think about what's at stake when we look at this election, right? The difference in the candidates, and some of it even isn't party based. I mean, that's certainly a big part of it. But when you look at the values and the things that the two different candidates at the top of the ticket at the presidential level stand for, there are a lot of Democrats that are coming on board with some of our values. We had a Democrat state legislator who over last week, and you might have been at this event, Moms for Liberty event, decided or announced she was moving from being a Democrat to now becoming a Republican. And a lot of that had to do with the gender transition issue. She was one of the Democrat voices here in our state legislature that said we should not be performing these sex change operations on kids, right? How dare she say that? And it was so heartfelt. You could tell she did her homework. She did the research. And to her, I mean, it was a very simple issue and a bill to vote on. But, you know, she got primaried, lost her primary, and now she said, I've had enough with that party. And so we got to be in touch with those differences. You know, I have a young lady in my home who's a high school freshman. You know, young ladies are online. They're looking at different things and they're getting influenced one way or another, whether they want to believe it or not. Tell me, I mean, look, and I think about like you, right? Riley Gaines, there's young ladies that they're using their freedom of speech. They're using the benefits of technology and social media. Tell us about maybe, I guess, what your experience is from, do you hear from young ladies your age or a little bit younger that are saying, thank you for speaking up. You know, I don't have that courage that you do it. What's the impact on your generation from people that respond to your work?
Absolutely. I mean, there is impact being made every single day. Young women is the reason why I got into politics, because I didn't have a mentor. There's personally a handful of girls that I get to mentor. And I say I get to because it truly is an honor and a privilege to be able to pour into the lives of young Gen Z women who are out there, who do stand firmly for faith and for freedom in our country. And they love America. Yeah. And it really is such a beautiful experience. I'm great friends with Riley Gaines, and her and I have had many candid conversations about how we love being able to save women and give women a voice. You know, this is real women's empowerment. This isn't the feminism and the feminist movement that has been lying to our generation and multiple generations for decades. This is not the feminism saying that, you know, abortion is a women's right or that you need to work in the corporate world. This is true women's empowerment, where we are fighting for the rights of safeguarding women's sports, saying, hey, young ladies, you should not be sharing a bathroom with young boys who are pretending to be women. We are safeguarding women by saying, no, men, you can't get gender transitioning surgeries in our country and be a woman. And I think that's something really special, is we are giving the voice back to biological women. I say biological because there is only two genders.
It's
to have to say that.
I know.
We are giving the voice women.
You've seen Riley Gaines talk a little bit about this. She's like, okay, I'm not using the setup phrase or whatever, biological anymore, but sometimes we use it so people understand what we're doing. The state of Texas, a state agency has just announced you're no longer going to be able to have a process where you can change your sex on your driver's license. It's whatever you were born with at birth. Hello, common sense. And listen, I applaud that because we worked on that issue several years ago when they first started doing that, and continue to try to chip away at that. A lot of concern there. You're going to be speaking at our event. It's September 13th and 14th. When we get closer, we will announce the dates of the panels and who's going to be on there. So you'll find out when Morgann's going to be on that Gen Z panel. When Riley Gaines spoke at one of our events recently, my daughter was like, "Dad, I want to come," right? My son is excited that Michael Knowles is going to speak at our event. And so being able to get some indication that we're responding, and we're also trying to message that we would like more young people to engage with our work. You're going to be a part of that on this important panel. My daughter's going to be there, by the way. I'd love for her to get to meet you and some of the other people on the panel because, listen, young ladies, they need those examples, but you have some important things to say. You touched on some of the stuff that happened with Harrison Butker and others that, and J.D. Vance, aghast that women would want to follow with traditional roles and really embracing that natural womanhood. I've seen you talk a little bit about that. Why has that been important for you?
I mean, it's the most important because I am what I like to call an anti-feminist. I was recently featured in a BBC documentary that came out yesterday, and they said that I am a radical right-wing extremist and anti-feminist, which I think is hilarious because I am anti-feminist, but I am pro-feminine. I am pro-woman, and that's what the feminist movement is, everything that they're not. You see J.D. Vance, you see Harrison Butker. I know that was a huge controversy, and I spoke out about that because there was nothing wrong or controversial with what Harrison Butker said. I mean, he is pro-family. He loves his wife. He loves his children. And all he wants is for women to actually tap into their inherent natural rights and be a feminine woman. And I do believe that, yes, you can climb the corporate ladder, the societal ladder as much as you want, but you will never reach ultimate fulfillment unless you actually turn to God and think of someone bigger than yourself. And that's the problem with the materialistic and money-hungry culture and society that women these days are raised in, is that they don't look towards God and they don't think anybody else than themselves, and it becomes this entire individualistic power trip that feminists are on. So that's something I talk a lot about, is just being an anti-feminist, because I really do think it's plaguing Gen Z. So I'm looking very forward to being on this panel and being a representation of Gen Z because it's so important.
No, we're looking forward to it too. We're talking to Morgonn McMichael. She is a Turning Point USA contributor, social media content creator. She's a part of this tour that Turning Point USA is doing across the country. You can find her on Twitter and Instagram and Facebook, and I'm sure other platforms as well. We've got a Gen Zer of our own. You may have not met her before. Maybe you did. Megan Benton from our team, who was heading up a Turning Point USA chapter. And I think you came to speak to the group earlier this year. Am I right? At University of Texas.
I met Megan at UT Austin. There was an event there and I was filming content at UT and I ended up meeting Megan. So I'm super excited. She was the one that reached out to me to come to the event. So I'm really excited that we made that connection. See, Turning Point USA is engaging thousands of young Gen Zers right now and soon to be Gen Alpha, which is insane. Is that
what's next? I guess that's the letter that sort of comes after Z, or you repeat the alphabet. Okay, so September 13th and 14th is our event, TexasFaithFest.com. Go to the website. Morgann is going to be a part of a Gen Z panel. And look, I mean, there's a lot leading up to the election and even after the election. We don't want to get too wrapped up into that, but that is what's right in front of us. And elections have consequences. It's not everything. But who's in the White House? Senator Cruz is on the ballot for re-election. There are a lot. I mean, who are in those positions? As I like to say, government belongs to those who show up. And so people need to know that. And it's great for them to hear from a variety of voices to be inspired by that. My son, I mentioned Michael Knowles, and he knows Ben Shapiro. I mean, I feel like he was equipped when he's headed to college, but there's still a lot that kids and young people get bombarded with. So we're glad that you're out there with your message, and then we're going to see you in a week and a half, and we're going to have some Texas barbecue for you, just by the way, when you show up.
I can't wait. I've been missing some Texas barbecue.
Oh, there's always a good reason for that. Okay, what a great conversation. Again, if you want to hear more about what Morgonn McMichael is involved in, come to our event September 13th and 14th. You can also check her out on social media. That's Morgann with 2 N's. Is that right? At the end of it?
Yep.
Yes.
If you can spell my name, you can find me.
That's right. Check her out on a lot of social media platforms around campuses. I'm sure she'll post some dates. Thank you, Morgann, for being our guest today on the Texas Values Report.
Thank you so much.
All right. We'll see her in a week and a half. Like I mentioned, the countdown has begun 10 days or less. I don't know. I'll count the calendar days to see what that amounts to. But we were on site at Great Hills Baptist Church earlier today, checking out the venue, seeing where everything's going to fit. All right, if you haven't got your ticket yet, there's still time. All right, the dinner with Mike Huckabee on Friday night is just about sold out. I'm not kidding. So do not wait. This happens every year. The event is a 2-day event during the day, but then there's a private dinner at night on the Friday night that's not included with general admission, okay? I can't charge $25 to go see Mike Huckabee at a private dinner because our costs are about 3 times that. So it does cost a little bit more than just general admission to go have dinner with Mike Huckabee, but it's going to be worth it. But every year, people show up on Friday for general admission. The event starts during the day, and they're like, oh, I want to go to the dinner tonight, with whoever the personality is. And I'm like, it's sold out. I mean, so sometimes we have a few extra. Do not wait. Do not rely on, us being generous and sympathetic. Get your tickets now. That dinner's going to be sold out probably in the next couple of days. The event is getting hot, all right, as we enter into 2 weeks. There's a couple of deals that were there. I think those are over, okay? We tried to let you know that we were going to announce some people. We announced Michael Knowles. Matter of fact, we got a new speaker we're announcing today. That's going out in the email soon. The closer we get to the event, the harder it's going to be for us to have some options for you there. But I guess since I just saw the graphic, I'll lay it out there for you. Representative Shelby Slauson has joined our Speaker of the House panel. You don't want to miss this, okay? And I can't tell you which day it's going to be on. Is it going to be Friday? Is it going to be Saturday? Okay, we'll let you know soon. But this is what everybody's talking about in the faith, family, and freedom world at the state level. And I understand there's a presidential election. There's a debate coming up next week. All of that is incredibly important. But in maybe the smaller circle that we're involved in, a lot of our work is about what happens at the state capitol. Who is the Texas Speaker of the House? Matters a lot in the work that we do. It has a big impact, and there's been concern over the years, particularly this last time around, that the Speaker of the House, current Speaker of the House, Dade Phelan, putting Democrats as chairs, holding up bills, allowing for, procedural issues to snag bills and slow them down that are a lot of people out there in our state want. The concerns have been growing, the handling of the impeachment issue with Ken Paxton, you name it. And so there are 2 declared candidates, Tom Oliverson and Shelby Slauson. They're both state House members. You might remember Representative Slauson. She was the author of the Heartbeat Law at the state, in the House in 2021, right, as a freshman. Briscoe Cain is now on that panel. He was a supporter of Speaker Dade Phelan. Now he is not. That's going to be an incredible conversation. And not only for sort of entertainment and interest, it's relevant to what's going to happen next on our issues. So you want to hear sort of the latest information from some leaders, okay? Dr. Oliverson passed the bill to protect kids from gender transition issues, Senate Bill 14 in the House, right? Briscoe Cain filed the first Heartbeat Law, is involved in a lot of election integrity work, and has been involved in stuff at the Texas House as he's been elected, and even before that. And Shelby Slauson, as I mentioned, has become a leader in her own right, starting off with passing the Heartbeat Law and many other things. So, but listen, hear from them. I mean, you hear from me and other commentators all the time. This issue largely is going to be driven by what members decide they want to do and what they're saying. And we're hearing that a majority of Republican members are saying they want a new Speaker of the House in one way or another by some of their actions. But when this takes place at our event, it's going to be one of the most talked about discussions for this time period as we get closer to the elections in November and the legislative session starting in January. Not that we don't already have enough to do, but I don't even know if I can announce what I'm doing tomorrow yet. I might have to wait on that so I don't get in trouble with some people. But I'll just say I'm going to be on the red carpet somewhere in North Texas for a movie premiere that is going to be spectacular. Watch social media later today and tomorrow. Man, I'm like a kid, being a fan at, some concert. I'm looking forward to what I'm going to get to do tomorrow. That's going to be exciting. We're hosting a private screening of God's Not Dead on Monday, September 9th. That's in Hurst, Texas. That is close. That's in the Fort Worth area. Okay, that's in Tarrant County. That we have a limited amount of tickets to that, so please get that tickets out. And then, as if we didn't have enough to do, on the weekend of September 13th and 14th, the following day, the evening of the 15th on Sunday, we're doing a private screening of the newest edition of God's Not Dead here in the greater Austin area. It's actually in Cedar Park, there at 1431 and 183. What was I going to mention on that? Oh, the God's Not Dead series. This time around, it's called In God We Trust. The pastor, David A.R. White, if you haven't seen the trailer yet, runs for office. So a timely topic of a pastor running for office. Scott Sanford, are you out there somewhere? We don't see that very often. So it's going to be interesting. Great movie, and that's coming out. The world premiere, so to speak, is September 12th. We're going to have screenings of it in Fort Worth on September 9th and in Austin on September 15th because, we had more time on our hands than we knew what to do with. Not really. The event on September 13th and 14th, Michael Knowles, Governor Mike Huckabee, Congressman Chip Roy, Senator Bob Hall. I mentioned Tom Oliverson, State Representative, Sid Miller, statewide agriculture commissioner. Let me go through this. Coach Joe Kennedy. All right. Can somebody say Friday Night Lights football? I went to my my children's high school game. We won on Friday night. My daughter got to cheer for the first time for varsity cheer. She's a freshman. It was fantastic. He's going to talk about his victory at the U.S. Supreme Court for Friday night prayers on football fields. Phenomenal. Melissa Oden, Abortion Survivor Network. Man, her story is just absolutely incredible. It'll give you goosebumps. You got to hear it in person. The whistleblowers for the Texas Children's Hospital. Information about what's really going on. Are they involved in still performing and doing things on kids that are gender transition procedures and puberty blockers? Is there Medicaid fraud? Those are some of the things that are said by these Texas whistleblowers. That's Dr. Heim and Vanessa Sivage. They're going to be our two of the speakers at that event. Man, too many people to mention. I go down the list. Check our website, texasfaithfest.com. Still time to get tickets. We want this to be the biggest turnout we have ever had. Michael Knowles, Chip Roy, Joe Kennedy, also Governor Mike Huckabee. Show these people how Texas shows up, meet some new people, get some new information about the work we're doing. I think we do the best work on faith, family, and freedom. We're going to have some incredible information, but also great people for you to interact with. txvalues.org. You can just go to the main website to get the tickets. Thank you to our sponsors, Eagle Peak Shooting Range out there in Leander. All right, you got to check this place out. Patriot Mobile, thank you for our support and sponsoring the event. Concerned Women for America, Texas Homeschool Association. If you want to be a sponsor for the event, let us know. There's still opportunities to do that, and we still have a couple limited opportunities to have a booth, a little table there at the event. It's going to be the biggest and best we've ever had. That is our goal. And listen, this is what we're going to do at the event. Educate, motivate, and activate you on the issues of faith, family, and freedom. We're getting ready for this election. We're getting ready for the legislative session, or maybe we're getting ready for what's going to happen next week. I don't know what's happening in your community, at your school board meeting, city council, what's going to happen where you're going to need to be equipped by the information we have. I've been involved in this work for 2 decades. We pride ourselves on being the best, and I don't say that in a way to sort of boast about myself. These are big issues: constitutional freedom of speech, religion, parental rights. We know these things are, you can't put a price on them, right? So we strive to be the best at them because we know the most important principles are on the line. But we know that God's with us on these issues, and that matters a lot. All right, txvalues.org. Check out the website. State Board of Education has got a big issue on teaching about the historical foundations and issues related to the Bible. That's coming up next week. We're going to have an alert come out about that. So don't forget to check that out. On October 15th, we're going to be at an event in Collin-Denton County at Prestonwood for a candidate event. So much to do. Welcome to fall, all right? It's going to be a lot of fun. And, I might be at some football games that I talk about from here from time to time at the high school and collegiate level, unless somebody gets me Dallas Cowboys tickets. We'll talk about that at another time. Listen, I want you to come out to the event. I'm telling you, this is going to be one of the best that we've had. There's a lot of new things and different things we're doing if you've been before. It's not the same old event that maybe you think you've seen. This is a refresh. Come out and check it out, texasfaithfest.com. We're going to have a great time. It's going to be incredible. It's going to be amazing. It's going to be life-changing, okay? I'm going to try to think of some other adjectives next time. Go to our website, txvalues.org, order those tickets, or make a tax-deductible donation so we can help offset our costs for these events. And that's how together we'll protect faith, family, and freedom in Texas. And we'll talk to you next week on the Texas Values Report.